Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the Financial Investor channel. My name is Brent, and today we're going to be covering 4 stocks I am watching in December. And if any one of these stocks comes down to either be an opportunity to purchase, I will end up buying it in the month of December. So I've been talking quite a bit about CenturyLink, and I talk quite a bit about the company. I researched the company, especially with the FCC net neutrality thing going on the 14th of December. So this month, 4 stocks I am watching all have to do with telecommunications. 3 of these I'm currently holding. 1 of them I'm taking a look at. So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm not going to be covering CenturyLink too much in this video, but it is on my 4 stocks I am watching this month. As far as net neutrality goes, I posted on my Facebook website this snippet that I found on how 2005 Madison River was blocking VoIP, Comcast was not denying peer-to-peer services such as uTorrent, BitTorrent, those torrenting things. 2007-09, AT&T was blocking Skype, blocking VoIP because it competed with their cell phones. Metro PCS, which I believe is now Walmart, they were blocking all streaming except for YouTube. 2011-13, AT&T, Sprint, and Verizon all blocking the Google Wallet because it competed with their services. So you can kind of continue reading, tethering, FaceTime, and so on. So going forward, if net neutrality gets knocked down, what services are going to be affected by these major ISPs? Are they going to allow you to connect and use Google Wallet again? Are they going to block Skype? Are they going to block FaceTime? Are they going to block anything about YouTube? Are you going to be able to access your favorite streaming websites? Are you going to have to purchase AT&T's direct package, their direct TV package, in order to even stream anything? So those are some questions you need to be asking yourself. And as an investor in AT&T, CenturyLink, and Verizon, which are some of the 4 I'm going to be watching, with an additional one, it's great to be a shareholder. They haven't had a lot of movement in the last couple years. So let's go ahead and just jump into it. I'm going to cover my first 3 very quickly because I am a current holder of them. CenturyLink has been on a downwards trend. They've missed their earnings per share every single quarter for the last 4 quarters, and maybe even prior. But going forward, I believe they're going to be turning this thing around. They have a lot of free cash flow. The main reasons they lost a lot of their free cash flow is because they did acquisitions and they acquired new businesses. So such as they had a lot of $12 billion acquisitions. Level 3 was one of their first $32 billion acquisition, and that kind of drew down their free cash flow. But it wasn't because they're just kind of spending money out crazy. This was a legitimate purchase in like a really nice company. Level 3 has really good management. They had a very nice stock. They have very nice free cash flow. They have really good earnings potential. They've been increasing their earnings over 1 to 2% per year. So going forward, CenturyLink is going to be turning around, and I can actually see them within a 20 to 25 range. And it's going to be changing. As far as CenturyLink goes for the year, they are down currently 41.8. They're sitting at around a 14.5% yield. They've actually talked during their quarter 3 about not cutting back their dividend because it's an important aspect to their shareholders. So FCC wise, this is one that'll be affected by the net neutrality being taken down. Second stock I am watching in the month of December is Verizon. Now Verizon, it's a telecommunications company. They actually do very well. They are currently down 11.93% this year. I bought back in August timeframe at a very big dip. I'm actually currently up in the position. You can see I had major swings. I was up 10, 12%. It came back down recently, but with, again, FCC plans to abandon net neutrality, and this is a huge boon for ISPs, the internet service providers. Being in telecommunications field, being an engineer, being just, I read about technology day to day because I'm trying to keep up with this stuff, and it's going to be an important thing. I've been taking a look at how it'll affect all the services, what kind of services it may affect, and I don't know. It's hard to predict these sort of things, but it could have some sort of an effect on lots of those services out there. Third stock I am watching in the month of December is AT&T, ticker symbol T. Now AT&T is actually one of the better of the prior 3. Between Verizon and CenturyLink, I would actually invest in AT&T prior. But my position, my equity inside both AT&T and Verizon is currently at a point where I don't want to exceed that point. I believe I'm around 5 to 6% invested in both of those companies, and I'm trying to invest and increase my equity in CenturyLink right now. But there is another one on the, that I'm watching right now. If it continues to, depending on how it goes, we're actually going to be taking a look and screening a couple of these, like soft screening. So AT&T, 3 out of the 4 quarters, they were really positive. Now year to date, AT&T is right in the middle. They're not quite as down as far as CenturyLink, and they're not, Verizon isn't too bad in itself. But AT&T is currently down 18.15% this year. I believe I am down in this position. I bought it again back in August timeframe, and I believe I'm currently down in this position. But going forward with the AT&T Time Warner merger, the buyout, it's really in the works right now. They are. It's going to the judge level. I read something today about they put the same judge that they put in for like Comcast, I think, and some other. I was reading a bit about it. I don't know where it's at, so I'm not gonna talk too much on it. But again, another stock affected by the FCC ruling. Now, the fourth stock I am watching in the month of December is Comcast, and this is actually one that I've never actually taken a look at until now. And maybe I took a look at them, but that yield didn't pass my screening test. But if I were to take a look at Comcast, they've actually beat their earnings per share the past 4 quarters and possibly even longer. Taking a look at just their balance sheet really quickly, quarter to quarter, they've been going up very nicely. Annually, they've been going, they had a bit of a dip in 15. They may have done like an acquisition or purchased something, but cash equivalents has been very well. The main thing here is their assets have been increasing. Let's take a look at their long-term assets. Their long-term assets has been increasing, and short-term assets doesn't really matter. As far as long-term debt, it's been increasing slowly, not anything near what their long-term assets or investments have been growing at. Their free cash flow is currently positive. They had a negative back in 2015, so they're actually pretty positive. So a very nice looking company. Without diving too further into it, they're actually up this year. So out of the 3 other telecommunications companies that I covered, Verizon, AT&T, and CenturyLink, this is the only telecommunications that is actually positive for the year by 3.9. And look at this, it's actually going back down to about a great opportunity to buy. If I looked at their 52-week low, does it show down here? I believe it showed over on their summary. 52-week range, $34.01. So this is very nice off that 32-week low. Now, quickly kind of look at them. CenturyLink, one of the main reasons I had bought this, just because the yield to price, it had a very nice value. Its free cash flow was up quite a bit since I had taken a look at the stock. All these portions here where they had a big dip, they had an acquisition back in 08, they had an acquisition in 2011, 2012, they had an acquisition in 2013, and they just had this big $32 billion acquisition with Level 3. So their free cash flow is getting chunked, but they were in the billions. They had to give up a little bit of their free cash flow. They're back down in the millions, but Level 3 has some very nice free cash flow. CenturyLink has some very nice free cash flow. With the FCC's ruling, it's going to increase their services that they're able to provide. They're going to be able to charge additional fees. It's going to be changing quite a bit. Price to book value, when I purchased the stock, they were at a 0.65 price to book value. I bought it right back in September. So it was actually right back here. So they had around a point. Looks like maybe 0.8. I've been buying this stock, for the last couple months and weeks. I just did a couple additional purchases. Here is their new price to book value. It jumped over 1, so it's actually at a nice, but valued by. Now it's overvalued for its current price to book value, in a sense. But I bought it when the book value of the actual price of the book, price in comparison to the book value was low. Now if you're buying it, yeah, and their price to earnings is actually pretty high in comparison to everything else as far as telecommunication goes. If we just go ahead and bring in all the other telecommunication providers, you can see here that CenturyLink is at the top as far as price to their earning potential, right behind by Comcast, then AT&T, and Verizon is at the lowest. Now just taking a look at their book value here, the CenturyLink is at the lowest as far as book value. You're probably getting the best, you're getting the best price for your value amount, followed right behind by AT&T. So AT&T and then Comcast and then Verizon. So out of all of these, the price to the actual book value of the company, anything below 3 would be considered a value investment. Now, I don't know about what else should we take a look at? So I want to take a quick look. We'll take a look at price and yield. So right now, Comcast, as you know, for the year, they're currently down. They're at a $35 point. Looks like prior back in about a year ago, they're probably down in $34.01 was their 52-week low. So if this continues to kind of go down, which I don't see it going down, they've actually had very nice earnings for the past 4 quarters. They've been doing really well. So this is something that's kind of unexpected in comparison to what they've been doing as far as earnings go. I would like to take a look at what their revenue, free cash flow, and net income has been for the last 5 years. And they're actually up, so you can see percentage-wise, their free cash flow is up 22%, their net income is up 33%, their revenue is up 33%, and their net income is up 40%. So they've actually done very well, and this is actually one that I think is very nice as far as investing in CenturyLink. They're kind of down for the past 3 years, but they've been kind of in the dirt, and they've been spending money on acquisitions. AT&T wise, let's take a look. AT&T is huge in net income, in free cash flow, and revenue in those last 3 years. And Verizon's gone down a little bit in their free cash flow. That's because, actually, I don't know of any acquisitions. They had the Yahoo one. I think that may have been like the last one that they've done. And then their revenue here is negative 2.09, and their free cash flow is up 36%. So just kind of taking a look at quite a bit of these. Comcast itself doesn't look too bad. AT&T looks like the winner as far as investing for the long term. Just looking at that free cash flow that they're pulling in, how much has increased in the last 3 years. You're still getting a pretty decent value. Let's take out that percentages. You're still getting a pretty decent value. 3.0 is where the price and compare, you're paying 171% premium. A 1.0 would mean that you're currently paying at the price is equal to the company's book value. So you're only paying, a little over for the premium of the price in comparison to its actual book value. So that's actually not too bad. So I'll leave the rest for you guys to kind of decide. But those are the 4 stocks I am watching right now. And well, I'm not going to take a look. So CenturyLink, I've been buying, increasing my equity in that one. Comcast, that's at another great buying opportunity. I don't think it'll drop down anymore. I may take a look at what was the lowest here point sometime in the last month or so and try and put in some buys, some limit buys in there. AT&T, it already fell probably to its support line, and it's kind of bouncing back up depending on how their merger grows with Time Warner when it comes into effect and how the SEC ruling is. I could see AT&T just kind of continuing back up into the $38-40 range. Verizon, it already hit the bottom of it kind of hit its support back down in July. I believe that's when I bought the Verizon way back when I transferred over to Robinhood. I bought Verizon right at that dip. So I haven't bought any additional Verizon lately. I've already have a pretty decent position in there. But I can see this one, they had a yield of around 5.25 somewhere in that time frame. So if you had actually looked into quite a bit of these stocks, you could probably get a really good deal right now. So looks like all of them in a sense are undervalued in comparison to their yield to current price, but only a few of them are book value below 3. What do I have here? So Verizon's probably the most expensive price to book value, and then the other three, paying a premium of 300% or less is actually not a bad buy. And AT&T has the most free cash flow and net income and revenue. So that is it for this video. If you enjoy these if you thought my stock picks were pretty good to watch for the month of December, go ahead and leave yes, I like your stock picks in the bottom of the comments. If you think that there's something else in here that I can kind of add that has to do with telecommunications that's going to be affected by the FCC for the positive, go ahead and leave that in the comments below. And if you have any questions about anything that was covered today, go ahead and leave that in the comments below. I always like to have comments in the comment section. I like to read, and I will always respond to your guys' comments. So again, thanks for tuning in. If you're brand new to my channel, go ahead and subscribe. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up button. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.